Welcome to Martinis Mentors, where real estate pros sip, share, and spill the strategies that actually work. I'm Yvonne Arnold, 40-year veteran realtor, business consultant, and your no BS guide to growing a real estate business that you love. So grab your favorite libation and let's dive in.
You're going to love this one.
Oh, good.
So past clients, I have a few, and picking up the phone and calling them is just not doing it.
Yep.
But I did get a lead off YouTube.
Oh, and you went, yay, I'm going to dive into YouTube and not make my calls still.
No, I would. YouTube is a whole separate thing. That's a different pillar. You can't not do one and just do the other, in my opinion. But
so, correct.
And just for your group, I thought a lot of people don't make calls.
No, they don't. Full transparency. It was an absolute bane of my existence when I was heavy production. I'm not going to lie. Why do you think I became an open house and a door knocking queen? I hated the phones with a passion. So John used to ask me one question: how are you going to get a deal today? And that's what I based, and that's what I continue to base real estate or mortgage company or anybody's business. Where is your next transaction and how are you going to get it? Our industry right now is completely distracted by that, beyond that. They have been absolutely fed a line of bullshit in the last 5 years about what you need to be spending your time on. And it's sadly caused a lot of people to go broke, to completely reinvent or completely destruct their whole teams because they didn't focus on leading indicators. They focused on the next shiny penny and that's the next hot thing. YouTube was first. You got to do video. Everybody forced it down everybody's throat. But nobody said, Mercedes and I were talking, nobody said how to do it, how to time block it, how to batch record it, how to set up the system so you don't fail at it, and how to make it so that you're doing it all the time. It's no different than I have to record a podcast episode or 4 to make sure they're scheduled. It's no different than an email newsletter. I need to make sure it goes out every week. It needs to be in a system. So you have to batch write. You have to batch record. You have to batch call. So again, now we're in this AI world and everybody's going AI, but nobody's saying, how? Should I just go build shit on Claude? For what? I mean, I was literally talking to my chiropractor yesterday, and I know it sounds like I'm going off track, but I'm going to get back to the phone calling to answer. I was talking to my chiropractor yesterday. Their son, 30 years old, just went and got his real estate license here in the desert. Now I've spoken to him. They said, could you have a call with him? And this was a year ago. I said, sure. Gave him a little 30-minute coaching call on how to go about getting his license. Hadn't even gotten it yet. Now he's hung it at an office. Small boutique brokerage under a supposedly producing agent who's been in the business for 5 years. And so again, there's no training, there's no nothing. But the mom was saying, I told him he really needs to work on Claude because he can do it. He needs a CRM. And I'm like, please, do not send him down the rabbit hole of building his own CRM and Claude. And there are real estate coaches right now telling people to do that. It's sad and it should be illegal because I sat there and I opened my phone and went, well, this is my Follow Up Boss app. And look, I have you in my Follow Up Boss app and I could send you an email, a text, or a call right now. I know our conversation and that's my CRM and it's $69 a month for one solo agent. And why would you spend hours upon hours tanking your business, or in his case, not even getting off the ground as a new agent? So my response was, go hang your brand new license over at a Keller Williams and go learn from the training they're going to give you, everything that you can for the next year to 2 years, and do everything they tell you to do. And oh, by the way, here's my 144 sphere of influence builder questions to build out your database because you don't even know who you don't know. And they said he's got a $1.2 million deal already. And it was like the mother-in-law of his sister's husband or boyfriend. And I said, that's the first 5 deals of any new agent is like everybody they know. And then once those are gone, they don't do another deal. So when you talk about not being able to make your calls or just avoiding it or not wanting to do it, this is the problem that we all have to overcome. If you're not making it, first off, a requirement, a non-negotiable for yourself. How am I going to get another deal? Now, if you answered that question, how am I going to get another deal today? And you answered it by, I'm going to go record 10 videos and I'm committed to building out a YouTube process that's going to get me leads coming into my inbox so I don't ever have to make a call. Great. Then I hope you have a year's worth of income in the bank that you can absolutely draw from in between now and then while you build up that machine. What did we used to say before YouTube rolled around? You were going to geographic farm. You needed to have a year's worth of money to budget, to mail, and do the things for that farm. But at the same time, you had to go door knock it. You had to call it, but you still needed the money to salvage yourself, to help yourself float so you can make some money with it. Calling the people in your database as a longtime past client owner is probably the number 2 issue in our industry. It's not the number 1 issue. It's the number 2 issue. The number 1 issue is pretending you're busy and you're not. Time management, I'll call it, but I hate the term time management because nobody gets it. So to give you an example, yesterday I had a coaching call with one of my private clients, and he started coaching with me on my Ops Accelerator program to basically restructure his whole business. Now they were closing, him and his team of 3 agents and admin and a marketing person who happens to be his wife. They were closing last year 75 deals. Not bad. On the surface, looked great. Got into his finances the first 2 weeks of calls, and he was at 70% expenses, cost of sales. It was just, there was no profit being made. Splits were all wrong with the team members he currently has. He got out of production too soon, right? It was all a problem. What did we do yesterday? Because he sends me a brain dump prior to the call, I could hear the stress in the email. I'm working on these contracts for my new contracts for when I come back from vacation to talk to my clients or my agents on, and to hire a production partner and do all this. I'm completely stressed out. What he was trying to do was write the contracts, which there was multiple you have to have, in a week, in 2 weeks. And I'm like, this is a 6-month program. I'm not expecting you to do this all in 1 week and then moving on to something new. We don't do that when you're building a real business. So I said, open up your calendar, screen share your calendar with me. He did. And he had it. Everybody has it, which is weird to me because I've never looked at my calendar at a week at a glance. I always look at my calendar on my Google Calendar on screen at a month at a glance. So the only week at a glance is on my phone because you can scroll it. But on the computer, it's always a month at a glance. But everybody that opens their calendar for me shows me in a week at a glance. And just the week, I looked at it and I said, well, I've looked at it for 30 seconds and I'm stressed out. So I started with this week. I said, Monday, did you work out at the gym at 6 o'clock? No. Did you do it yesterday? No. Did you do it this morning? No. Please delete that task because he had it throughout his whole calendar. Delete it. We deleted he had 13 things to do on yesterday's calendar. And when we cleared everything out that shouldn't be there, they were wish list items. What do you think I saw? Tons of time and not one buyer showing appointment and not one listing appointment. But he was so busy and stressed out. He was doing it to himself. So the number 1 issue I see is people not understanding the time in their life. How much time you truly have to get shit done. You have a ton of it. You're just building a bunch of negotiable crap in your calendar. Number 2 item is making your calls. So guess what? So I said, there's big rocks. We've all seen it. And he said, no, I've never seen that video. And so I'm like, I'll send it to you. I thought everybody had seen the video. The glass jar with the big rocks first, and then the sand and the gravel and the little rocks and all the stuff, right? So it's telling you how to put things into your life. Big rocks go in always first. your calendar or a jar. So the big rocks are what? It's every most important thing that you have to go to, you're obligated to, which number one is your family, if you have one, and your children. And so any calendar item, I got to pick up the kids on this day, and this day from school because my wife is working. I have to be at a doctor's appointment for this. I have 2 guys right now, they're partners, and both their wives are pregnant with their first children. So guess what? Calendar items have to be in there for doctor's appointments and scans and all the things that you are doing when your wife is pregnant, right? Or you are pregnant and you're the agent. So that has to go in first. That's a big rock. Number 2 big rock is, how am I going to get another deal this week? I am not somebody who tells you to put it in your calendar forever. I say on Sunday mornings, get a cup of coffee, open up your computer, your laptop while you're sitting having a cup of coffee, and open your calendar. And on Sunday, for that 1 week, you just look at that 1 week. What do I have booked? Where can I put my prospecting time? And I'm not somebody who says you have to do 5 days a week. The benchmarks are an hour a day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 20 hours a month of prospecting. Structured prospecting, that's the benchmark. So think about that. I'm going to write it down so you can see it. It's 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, and 4 weeks a month, 20 hours per month. Now, this is the easy way to look at it, but what's realistic is getting on the phone and getting in your database every single day for an hour, 5 days a week, 4 weeks out of the month. Realistic? Nope. I don't care what any coach tells you. It's not realistic. I've been doing this a long time, and I know as a realtor, there are people who can do it. They are very regimented people. Usually they have more operator in them. They have more analytical in them, less sales. But the majority of real estate agents are salespeople. So if you're a salesperson, sitting for an hour every single morning is like somebody is just scraping the chalkboard or pulling out your teeth. So I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to force you to do something that isn't in your personality type. So guess what? I say, break this up any way you want. But do it in your calendar every week. What's going to fit into that week's calendar? Because if you're putting your big rocks in, which are the 3rd big rock is your listing appointments and your buyer showing appointments. Okay. So if you look at your week right, and it's Sunday right now, and I look at this week, and I go, wow, I don't have any buyer appointments and I don't have any seller appointments. I guess my biggest focus is going to be getting an appointment of some kind. So Monday, I cleared it all out with all the crap I don't have in there anymore. I'm going to do 2 hours on Monday because I'm looking at the rest of my week and I have a doctor's appointment and I have to take my mother to her doctor and I have to do an open house on Saturday. I've already booked that with my current listing. So I need to prep for that. And I need to leave some space for appointments I'm going to set. I'm going to hit the phones Monday morning, 2 hours. I'm going to commit and I'm going to follow up on the open house leads that I did this weekend first. I'm going to make sure that all of those people are set up on Real Scout or HomeBot alerts or my IDX alerts. I'm going to call them and see if I can book an appointment to show them houses sometime on Tuesday afternoon at 5, or is next Saturday morning at 10 better? Because I'm going to have my calendar open because I'm going to be able to see where I can fit them in. And it's going to go by my calendar, not what the buyer says. I'm going to give them options. They're going to pick one. Trust me, 95% of the time, they're going to pick your options. They're not going to tell you they can't make it on your schedule. So break these 20 hours a month up any way you want. I say a minimum of 3 days a week, though. So I do have a rule. It's a minimum of 3 days a week on the phones. And when I say structured, I mean structured prospecting. Everybody goes, well, I talk to people all day long. Yes, but that's not structured. That's not pinpointing, laser target. You're going to hit the mark. Boom. That's what we're looking to do. If you can stay focused at your computer, and I say dual screens, your CRM's up on one, your calendar's up on the other, You have the ability when you get on a conversation to actually have some data in front of you if you want it. If you're going deep with a past client, if you need to pull up their house information so you can talk to them logically about the house they're currently in, because I can't remember the house from 5 years ago that I sold them. So structured prospecting, 20 hours. Break it up any way you want, but it's got to be minimum 3 days a week. Now, what did I used to do? I didn't like the phones, so I door knocked 3 days a week. But guess what? I still had to call and follow up. So if we start thinking about calling, less about cold calling, because everybody talks about calling and they think of it as a cold call. What you mentioned, Tiffany, is not a cold call. That is a direct past client or a lead that you've recently gotten that wants to do something, or the past client you need to touch base with. And do you believe that you have information to tell that person?
I'm sure I do.
Oh,
People need to know, people are wondering what the heck's going on in the market. So
correct.
One.
Do you know what I just read today or heard today? And if you guys watch the news in the morning, I do. I know I'm not anti-news. They did a study. I can't remember what company it was that did the study, but they found, and I have it right here because I took notes. They found, and this is something everybody should be talking to their buyers, sellers, past clients, anybody about. They found on a study that they just did that Americans' financial knowledge has hit a 10-year low. On average, adults can only answer 47% of basic personal finance questions correctly. Risk comprehension and long-term investing, they don't have any knowledge about. It's the weakest point. Gen Z could only answer 38%. Baby boomers were the top answerers. They could only answer 55%. So, do you think that you should educate yourself? So here's what I did. I took the information, I stuck it in Gemini, and I said, give me this information. Here's the report. Tell me as a real estate coach what a real estate agent should be doing for their past client sphere and anybody they talk to educate the consumer about finances when it comes to home buying. This is what it gave me. 3 ways to simplify the math for buyers and sellers. Now, I have been pitching the Palm Agent app for several weeks now. So when you sit and say, I'm going to call somebody, everybody goes, what do I ask? What do I say to them? Hi, just checking in. Hi, just seeing how you're doing. No, I'm going to say, hey, Mercedes, it's Yvonne. Long time no talk. It's been about 3 years. I sold your house 3 years ago, and I've been terrible, but it's been so busy. I have not gotten back to people that I should be calling, and I'm calling you today because I just heard a report where 47% of Americans can't answer basic financial questions. And I'm going to relate that today, and I'm calling all of my past clients, as many as I can get to this week, to ask you, what is your knowledge around the value of your home and how much equity and wealth you have in that home right now in 2026? That's a solid conversation, wouldn't you say? So now, if I'm going to send out information or I'm going to talk to somebody about it, I'm going to talk to a buyer. This buyer came to my open house. I'm going to say, hey, Mercedes, Siobhan, I met you at the open house this weekend. You guys said you were renting, and you're renting over there in such and such, and you're paying $2,500 a month in rent. The open house was so busy, I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this, but I'm going to be sending you something because I have your phone number here. Is this the one I can text you at? Because I'd like to text you a rent versus buy infographic. It's an explanation of what you're spending on rent versus if you bought a home right now. Don't worry about what the interest rates are. I want you to see what rent versus buy is. So now I have a conversation to talk to a buyer. And it says here, rent versus buy, the 100% interest rule. Stop guessing where interest rates are going. Instead, give buyers a simple reality check. When you rent, your interest rate is 100% and your equity is 0. If they can comfortably afford the monthly mortgage payment today, buying wins over paying someone else's mortgage. Now that's an old it's a new way of saying what we've always said, right? Tiffany, we've been doing this a long time. We always said, why are you paying somebody else's mortgage on the rent? Why wouldn't you just buy your own house, right? But if I add in something that is just not me talking at them, I go, hey, I'm going to do this rent versus buy outline and I'm going to send it over to you. My Palm Agent app does that. It's ridiculously cool. And it'll give them price points. So you're paying $2,500 a month in rent. If I tell you what advantage it is to buy a home, even if your payment goes up to $3,500 a month, if you qualify for $3,500 a month, here's what your tax savings are going to be. Because now you can write it off. I just sold, and this is a story, a personal story. I just helped a friend of ours up in Idaho buy the house that he's been renting since 2010. He has been renting this house since 2010. He's a painter. He does really well. Single guy, 52, never been married, never owned a house, been renting. He was so stressed out, it took him a year to buy his landlord's house. Now, when I finally got him to understand, Steve, do you know how much money you're going to save on taxes? In Idaho, the homeowner's exemption, so in California, you guys are in California, it's $7,000, right? Nothing to talk about on a house. In Idaho, it's $150,000 off the top of the assessed value of that home. So automatically, property taxes are going to be less. Next, you've got the mortgage interest that you're going to be able to write off. He goes, I can take that additional paint job that I've been pushing off to the next year because I didn't want to make the extra 10 grand because I would have had to pay almost all of it in tax. When you guys start educating consumers about what they can do financially, whether they're a past client, a new current buyer, a listing you're going on, you have tons of information to talk about when you make the call. So again, get it in your calendar the right way, because that's number one, and then commit to a non-negotiable. If I look at my week and I say, Monday morning from 9 to 11, I'm going to do nothing, and I'm a fan of designating who you're going to call or follow up with. Don't just go prospecting. That is so boring. Go open house leads and past clients that bought 5 years ago or more, or bought in 2020, 2021, 2022. Do you think those people are sitting there going, what the hell do we do with this house? We don't even know what's it worth right now. Our rate's 2.5%. What do we do with the money that's in that house? Our daughter wants to buy a house. Is there any way we can help them with that? Oh, Tiffany, let me call my lender, Tiffany. She can help you get a cash out refi or a HELOC or to give the money to your daughter for a down payment on her house. So block it out, minimum 3 days a week, structured prospecting. Let's say you're on a team and the team is a heavy Zillow Flex team. These teams have hundreds of thousands of leads in their databases usually. And they're doing a lot of AI testing on Zillow, the leads coming in, and they're recording those calls and they're grading them. Shiloh is the company that grades them. And they're grading them and they're getting 1s and 2s, 3s, because the agent's call is so bad because they don't know what to say to these people. That means we have a big problem in our industry with education. So what happens then? What do we do? Well, the agent who's calling, I'm on a team and I'm getting these leads and I'm supposed to follow up with all of these people all the time. That's my job. They run out of things to say. Pick Zillow follow-ups if you're doing past client sphere and open house leads or whatever from the weekend on Mondays. Then on Wednesdays, maybe you are picking Zillow leads. Now I'm going to call these Zillow leads and I'm going to power through those, but I'm going to have a topic and one topic only I'm going to talk to them about because they're almost 100% buyer leads in most cases. And I'm going to do the rent versus buy. And I'm going to text them while I'm on the phone with them. I'm going to text them or email them the rent versus buy. And I'm going to say, hey, take a look at that. Let's review what it's going to cost you and what you can do and what your power is to buy a house right now. And I'm going to set the appointment because what am I doing all this for? Why am I doing this? How am I going to get another deal? I'm going to set an appointment. Everybody loses sight of what the goal is. It's not to give them information. I cringed last week because I made 2 of my clients on Zoom for 30 minutes prospect live while I listened. These are not newbies. these are people that know what they're doing. I thought at the end of the day, after that third, I was sitting here going, I'm writing on the board, ask for the appointment, because had people on the phones and they were just talking. They acted like the World Wide Web. They were Chat GPT. People are going to Google, Chat GPT, Gemini, Grok. They're going to get all the answers that you're giving them. Cut to the chase, get the appointment. I need to meet you in person to list that house. I need to meet you in person to buy that house. So we just are focusing on all the wrong stuff. Still, it's been like that for decades. So hopefully that full circle answered the question about making your calls.
If you got value from today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a round of real talk and real estate wisdom. And if you're loving the show, leave a review. It helps more people like you find us. Until next time, keep shaking things up, stay profitable, and always remember, a great real estate business is like a great martini, well crafted, smooth, and best enjoyed with good company. Cheers.